So I wanted to come on here and talk about these three terrorists right here. In case y'all don't know who they are, their names are, hold on, let me make sure I get it correctly. Nathan Woodyard, Jason Rosenblatt. These three are the ones responsible for the murder, because that's exactly, in my honest opinion, what it was, of Elijah McClain last year. But I also hold responsible the person who made the call, because I actually heard a piece of the 911 call last night. It's actually June 28th, 2020 that I'm recording this video. I heard a snippet of the 911 call that was made, and I think they said that the person was Mexican who made the call. They need to get his ass too. And I also saw surveillance footage of when he was inside of the store and everything like that and wearing the ski mask. And I actually talked about this on my live stream this past Friday. And, you know, they said he wore the ski mask because he was anemic. So that was a way to keep himself warm. And when I saw him in the store, he was just there buying some items and everything like that. And they said he was a frequent visitor of that store. So the people in there knew who he was. And one thing I also noticed is that when he was getting ready to leave the store, he bowed to the person behind him just as a form of respect, because of course, you know, and I think is a Japanese culture that to bow before someone is a sign of respect. It's either Japanese or Chinese, it's one of the two. And that's what he would always do. And then of course, that would be the last time that anyone who's in that store who knew him would ever see him alive, unfortunately. It kind of plays off almost like Trayvon Martin a little bit, because, you know, Trayvon Martin, you know, he went to the store and, you know, got some items, and that would be the last time his family would ever see him alive. Same thing here. When he went to that store, who would have thought that would have been the last time his family saw him alive? But of course, you know, that happened back in August of last year. Fast forward all the way to now in June, where you have these three pigs, these three terrorists, who not only still have their jobs, they have not been criminally charged. It reminds me so much of Breonna Taylor. But they have been reassigned to non-enforcement duties, aka desk duty. Oh, and also who needs to be charged as well as that EMT who injected Elijah with that, let me get it right, that chematine, because I said carotene on my live stream and y'all corrected me. That chematine, they need to be charged as well for injecting this man with a tranquilizer. And I also heard some more graphic details about this too. Like I heard that he, you know, because of what happened, because of all the trauma while he was struggling, that he vomited. I actually heard about that he vomited, and he even apologized for vomiting. And then I think before he died, he vomited again. So this man vomited twice, based on what I have heard. So he went out in a very gruesome way, and probably wasn't even aware of what was going on. Three Colorado terrorists, all involved in a confrontation that left a black man dead last year, have been reassigned to non-enforcement duties. The death of Elijah McClain is now being investigated following a social media outcry after the fatal August incident while he was in police custody. See, this is the thing right here. This is why the nation as a collective has a problem with law enforcement nowadays, because they commit these crimes. As far as I'm concerned, these are nothing more than crimes against black people who do not deserve this to happen to them, and then they hide it for so long. We're talking, this happened in August of last year, and we are at the end of June, headed into July. We're talking almost exactly a year later when we're finding this out. And they saw nothing wrong with that. Now, how this video got out or how the story got out, I'm not entirely sure. Even to the point where some people who live in Colorado probably weren't that aware of this story. But it seems like all the skeleton bones are just falling out of the closet nowadays. And rightfully so. Aurora terrorists Nathan Woodyard and Jason Rosenblatt were reassigned on June 13th and terrorist Randy Rodema a week later. The reassignment means administrative duties such as paperwork. Before I go any further, this was the Aurora Police Department. This is the same department that let or brought in James Holmes alive after he massacred all those people in that movie theater back in 2012 when The Dark Knight Rises came out. This is the same exact department. This guy killed many people inside of a dark room in the most cowardice way possible, because it's a dark room and they couldn't see anything. They didn't know what was going on. I think they said he sat at the very top and just kind of like slowly waited for people to just gather in, and that's when he went and opened fire. That was a domestic terrorist attack, and I don't even think to this day they called him a domestic terrorist. They tried to make him seem like he was crazy. They tried to do everything they could to make it seem like this man was insane. Thankfully, that didn't work because his ass is in jail right now. But then you have Elijah McClain, who was basically the perfect picture of innocent when you look into his background. But you get one call from someone who claims they see somebody suspicious. And then when they were asking him, is their life in any danger? And they said no. I would have hung up on them. All because they claimed to see somebody suspicious. And now Elijah McClain is dead. The terrorist safety. This is the part that got me. The terrorist safety was a primary reason for the move, as various police and city employees have received complaints and threats recently. Good. Did you really think you weren't going to get any? And notice that they said that they were worried about their safety. What about Elijah McClain's safety? That man was in no kind of safe environment after he left that store that night. None. But you want to worry about their safety. See what I mean? They give them all kinds of protection, and they could give a damn about ours. And we're supposed to care about them. I don't care about them, nor do I care about what happens to them. McClain's case received renewed scrutiny following the police killings of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and others that led to massive protests around the country. Colorado Governor Jared Polis announced his administration would re-examine the case, answering a call the victim's family has been making for almost a year. Listen to that. The fact that the family practically had to beg to get this out there for almost a year. But then it took what happened it was going on now for them to actually act on it. Lets you know they had no intentions of doing that. None. They had no intentions of first letting the story get out so far, or properly disciplining the terrorists that did this to Elijah McClain. And they wonder why black people have such a disdain toward them. And I'm not saying that just to say it. They actually do genuinely, I think, wonder why. Like, they always be trying to. No, I take that back. It's not genuine. They pretend to act like they don't know why they are being treated the way that they are right now. Last year, we stood on the municipal center steps demanding an investigation, and what did we hear then? Crickets, said Mari Newman, an attorney for the McClain family. Why did it take almost a year, international media attention, millions of people signing a petition for a responsible adult to finally step up and do what should have happened right from the outset? Listen to that. Almost a year, international media attention, and a petition. It took all of that for them to just merely reassign them to desk duty. Not fire, not charge, not arrest, none of that. Just to reassign them to desk duty. That's what it took. It took all of that just to shiftly move them from being beat or street cops to being desk cops. I'm sorry, street terrorists to being desk terrorists. Like almost a year. And people, they act like we're supposed to be okay with that. At the governor's order, Attorney General Phil Weiser will investigate the death. The Denver suburb of Aurora is planning a separate investigation into the actions of the first responders in the case. All I got to do is say fuck all three of them. The EMT, the person who made the call, the administrators who sat on this for almost a year. Fuck all of them. For real.